I guess. Okay. So, have you thought about how much your daily communication involves using some kind of figure of speech, like a metaphor, a simile, a hyperbole, an idiom, or even irony? Um, I feel like speaking like in a native language, you don't think about it as much because it makes sense. You know what it means. Um,
But for learning as a
yes.
second language is like huge. It's like
Because
wow,
sometimes there's expressions are just like that doesn't make any sense.
any
That means
sense.
nothing.
But I
Um,
think it's important that you learn like idioms in the target language. That is good because that way you can connect with the speakers, with native speakers, like
and
deeply. Mhm.
I've noticed like a lot of times there is a like historical context or reason for some idioms. It's like I was kind of looking up some in preparation, and Dutch has a few where they use Spanish to mean um like mean or like abusive, which goes back
Uh-huh.
to I think the 80 Years War, whenever Spain controlled the Netherlands.
Yeah.
So they had a bunch of phrases come out that use sponsa to mean like mean and controlling.
Yeah.
Um, and it makes sense with the historical context, but just hearing that, it's like that doesn't make doesn't add up.
Yeah. But even in like random things, like for example, for me it was really hard to learn that idiom that you guys use a lot. What is that? When something is so easy is um a piece of cake. Okay, okay,
Oh,
I know piece of cake because makes sense because in Spanish we say something like pan comido. That means like yeah, it's same. But there is another one. Is
um,
that was so hard. Easy peasy.
oh,
Um, something like
easy
that.
peasy lemon squeezy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
doesn't make
I
sense.
don't think there's much meaning behind that. I think it just sounds similar, I guess.
Oh
It's
yeah,
just like a fun.
but there is easy peasy. There is piece of cake, and there is another one. Um, I don't remember, but
I'm sure I'll remember it eventually, but it's so hard to
but
just like think of them.
yeah, but for me, when my English teacher when she say like that word, I was like, what is that? That's no, that means that something so easy. Like, but that's I mean, it's like it doesn't make sense to me. But yeah, but that's good to learn. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
good.
Um, why might we choose a figure of speech even when we can say the same thing using the literal meaning? I feel like sometimes it kind of makes it more polite or like less blunt whenever you say it in that way. I mean, my family is a little more kind of like Southern country type, which is known for being very indirect with a lot of stuff. So I'm kind of used to saying something, but kind of mean something else with it.
Oh,
That
that's like
hidden.
a irony, right?
Um, I think
No.
sometimes because it's not. I feel like irony is whenever you say it, but it means like the opposite. I don't
Yeah.
know if that's the definition of irony or not. Um, because there's a lot of stuff that like the classic people always talk about is bless your heart, and it's kind of it sounds very nice, but it's usually
But
more of like a oh like I don't know, it's kind of like me.
really?
It's like if someone is like someone's just kind of doing or saying something stupid, you can be like, oh bless his heart. And it's very
No.
like it sounds nice, but it's really not.
But it's really
But it
that's
sounds
good to
nicer.
know.
It's like it doesn't sound as like bad, I guess. Um, because it's a lot of, you want to seem nice at least, or seem at least in
Mm.
America. America's very
Oh yeah. Maybe
don't
when
be blunt.
somebody says something stupid or in you don't want to argue and you just Bless your heart. Yeah,
Yeah.
something like that. Like,
And it's just, I think that's an
that's so
American
wrong.
thing because I've noticed other countries are, they're not afraid to be as direct. Um, they'll say it. If you're speaking with like a poor accent, they will immediately just be like wrong.
Mm.
It always catches me off guard when having someone like interrupt you to correct how you pronounce something.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like, oh, like I know it's not mean, but I'm like, for me, I would never do that because it just
Oh,
seems very rude.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
How about you in French? Like, have you learned idioms in French that has
it's
helped
like
you?
I was trying to look for some in case I forgot. The main one that I know that people always bring up is they'll say to speak like a Spanish cow. I don't know why Spain is coming up so much. And it means someone who speaks French really poorly. Like their grammar is bad, the
But
accent is wrong, but they say speak French like a Spanish cow. I don't know why. I don't know why Spain
wow,
just keeps getting brought up.
they hate they hate Spanish people or
It's like
what?
I mean, I guess they're next to each other. They probably interact enough,
Yeah.
but it just does not does not make sense to me. I
Hmm.
feel like there's other, but I'm not remembering them. I might see if I can find some really
Hmm.
quickly
Hmm.
that I remember. I guess some of these don't feel the same because they're like equivalent to kind of idioms that we have in English. So I'm not
Hmm.
processing them as being different. Um,
For example,
there's one to like to give to give one's tongue to the cat, and it's like cat's got my tongue. Just kind of the words are flipped around a little bit, I guess. Um, I think I've actually heard this one before. You can tell someone to that like they need to occupy themselves with their onions, and it means to like mind your own business.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
This-
That's a good one.
but that one I feel like it makes sense. It doesn't
Yeah.
necessarily it's not as weird as some of them can be.
In Spanish, we say a lot like when, for example, I'm so pretty, I'm so, beautiful. You wanted to approach to me to say, hi, hi, you're so beautiful. And I was like, "Mm, like, no, don't talk to me." And that you can say like, she thinks that she's the last one coke in the desert.
Huh.
In the desert. It's desert,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. That place.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah. En Spanish is, ella cree que ella es la última Coca-Cola del desierto. that that makes sense. Like she thinks
Yeah.
that she's the last one Coke in the desert.
Like
Yeah,
the most
that's a
important.
little rude. That's like
Yeah.
uh. But it makes sense. Like the last one Coke in the. That's so funny. Like yeah, she thinks like she's the best. Like wow.
And then trying to think.
What makes something funny? Oh,
I don't
but jokes in English is so hard to me. It's so hard. It's like I don't get it.
I feel like a lot of humor, there's so many factors that go into it. Because I mean, I've even had stuff that something is funny to me, but then my dad doesn't understand. And the age
Oh,
difference, I mean, he was on the older side, so he's 32 years older than me, but it's not
uh-huh.
the world's biggest age gap. That like for there to be like I guess a cultural disconnect in the things, and then there's just like some stuff like I guess like references and stuff where you kind of have to know. the thing in order to find it funny.
Oh yeah.
So it's very
Mm-hmm.
much like subgroups. Um, and then yeah, I mean, between cultures, some of them the jokes are just not
Yeah, it's
um
my English teacher always say like, hey, you guys, you have to go to hang out and with other people, and for example, go to the theater and see comedy, stand-up comedy or something like that. And I was like, but yeah, but I don't get it anything. It's like the people just laughing and laughing and laughing, and I was like, what? I don't know. It's that's hard. Can you understand jokes in French?
um I'm trying to think. I feel like trying to think of a time that I've ever heard people actually like trying to be funny.
Uh-huh. But
Um,
it's not funny.
because like the only time that like yeah, I don't know. I haven't had enough like direct um I've noticed that French people really like playing with words
Yeah.
just because so many words sound very similar that you can really kind of exchange words for each other and it like
Oh.
especially in songs there's so many songs that do that and then I'll have like friends are like well what does the song say it's like well I have to get into several layers to explain what this means to you because I have to say what he's actually saying and then it's like well this means something else that you just
Oh.
should know you should just know that
Uh,
um but yeah I feel like I guess I need to see more comedies to try and get that exposure because I cannot remember
more comedy. Yeah.
anything that it's like I can't think.
No, you should go. You should watch more videos. Maybe on YouTube you can find comedy in French, maybe.
Yeah.
But in English, I no. Don't try to be funny to me because I can't understand. I don't get it. It's like, okay, so mm, put yourself in the shoes of a world language instructor. Uh, that's hard.
It's like I definitely think some of the more common ones should at least be brought up, you
Oh
know,
yeah.
maybe it doesn't need to be the main focus all the time, but
Mhm.
once in a while, especially for higher level students, I think
Yeah.
it's better
Mhm.
to kind of because it's like you'll probably see these eventually or hear them.
Yeah.
So at least hopefully you'll be able to recall and remember what it means. Um, but then there's some that are like kind of outdated. I feel like they kind of go out of style pretty quickly because there's quite a few English ones that whenever you say it, it's people almost say it in an like ironic sense now just because of it, how old timey it sounds. Like I don't know
Um,
the last time I've heard someone when something's good say like it's the bee's knees. It's really weird, but I only hear that in like making fun of it because it just sounds old and out of place. So it's like that. I don't know if that needs to be taught to a student just because
oh yeah.
you're not going to
Mhm.
use it. You don't need to use it because if you use it, they're probably going to laugh at you and they're going to be like, you sound really weird. You sound like you learned English in like the 1950s.
Yeah. Mhm. I know what you mean, but I think I don't know. Sometimes I think that's why it's important that when you learn a second language, that professor or instructor, I mean, it's like it's not like it should be must be a native speaker, but at least if you know, it's like just I mean, if you wanted to learn Spanish, what do you prefer? Like a native speaker teacher or
um it's like I think I found in like the super early classes, it's been easier having someone who speaks English first,
Oh yeah,
just because they've
I agree.
at the
I
beginning.
agree.
But then the
Yeah.
higher level classes,
But
it
yeah,
gets better, I think.
yeah, because you in the higher level, you need to know more like cultural things, more
Yes.
like that's important. So, for example, when I came here at the United States, and my teacher, I learned some English in Colombia, but it's not, it's terrible. But here, my teachers, they explain me a lot of cultural things, United States culture, and things that words that for me in Spanish is so random, is so common, but here is, you shouldn't say that.
Oh,
So that's good. I
yeah.
mean, that's good that teacher. But in Colombia, teachers in Colombia, they will never say like you shouldn't say this in the United States because they don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So sometimes it's good to have a good native speaker teacher. So
Yeah.
I I think
It's like I've definitely noticed also with just the really, really complex grammar, it helps to have someone that can just be like, that sounds wrong. That's wrong, just
that's
instantly.
wrong.
And not even have to think about it. They're just
Yeah,
like, nope, you can't say that.
yeah.
Can I explain
Mhm.
it? Maybe not, but I know you can't say it.
Yeah. So okay.
It's like I think that should be well over 5 to 10. So I will